Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Mob Psycho 100. Last time around we had Guidance, Psychic Censor, where Sho took on his father but realized he was severely outclassed. Meanwhile, the entire gang was dealing with Gordon, which they were making some headway. They realized they could attack him if he was already distracted, which worked out. And eventually he was distracted by Mob, who was approaching with his immense power, and then Reagan just came over and just beat the shit out of him, so there was that. And then, Mob basically said, I'm going in alone, and I'm going to take on whatever threat is up there, so he is off, and now it's time, I guess, for a big battle. This should be interesting. Like always, the reaction is down in the description and in the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure, so let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of Mob Psycho 100. Here we go. Alrighty. Yeah. Man, why do I keep watching shows that do My Hero Academia better than My Hero Academia? Like, this is ridiculous. And this did it in an even shorter time than Demon Slayer did. Good God, man. I mean, you know, this takes me back to the old days. The old days of anime. The old days of 4Kids Yu-Gi-Oh! Where the power of friendship shone through. If that is not Mob Psycho 100, then I don't know what is, you know? Oh boy, oh boy. That was great. And now we get a real shonen fight, you know? That's so great. 100% rage. I will say, like, it's... because we made the all-for-one comparisons, which I don't know which of these came first, if the Mob Psycho manga or the My Hero manga came out first. I mean, either way, I don't want to say, like, one is copying the other. Like, it's pretty... it's pretty easy to come up with this kind of... Well, not easy to come up with this kind of character, but you know what I'm trying to say. They both do it very, very well. For the most part. I mean, so far they haven't ruined Suzuki, like they completely tanked the character of All for One, but that's a different story entirely. But yeah, like the fact that they are so similar, down to the fact now that it's like, oh, he can steal people's powers and then give his own powers to someone else. It's like, that is very All for One, but they do it in a very different. At least I think they do it in a different way. Even though, yeah, I mean it's a guy who's just using his subordinate. I guess that could be sort of the difference between Suzuki and All for One, because All for One at the time, it wasn't really that he was using Shigaraki, but that he was trying to, mold him to be, a true successor, which Suzuki wasn't able to do with Sho, and, he doesn't do with, like, Serizawa. He does just use them. They are weaklings to him. Which is like the Season 6 version of All for One, but that is garbage, and I hate that season, so I don't care. So I'm going to say this is better in that respect. But only in this respect. Sorry about some of the noise. Me moving around in this chair gets a little creaky. And my belt. My belt absolutely rubs against the plastic here. But anyway. So yeah, but I love... Man, because Mob... I mean, it's so weird watching these now. Because I watched My Hero Academia first, That was the first anime reaction I did here on the channel, was My Hero. And at the time, and I will still say, those first 4 seasons are so great. Man, after that, it tanks. I mean, Season 5 is okay, but Season 6 sucks. And just the fact, I feel like one problem with that is just that they go too long, you know? Like here, second season. The end of the second season, I feel like we're fighting the final boss, you know? Like, we got another season after this. What the hell is it going to be, you know? And I think there is still going to be at least a fourth season of Mob Psycho. So, I don't know. I don't know, like, what we're doing after this, but this is already great, you know? And honestly, yeah, it's like, I like Suzuki, but again, on the My Hero thing, it's like, oh, you know, we've made Deku but better, you know? Like, Mob is a better version, I feel like. Because it's the same sort of thing. It's the same sort of thing as Star Platinum. But I mean, you can see some mirroring there with, like, you know, kind of with Serizawa, where it's like, you know, Serizawa being a shut-in and, you know, you not having any friends, not having anybody really, and, you know, you have the mirroring with Mob, but that also slightly mirrors Deku of, you know, he's given this big chance, he's able to come out of his shell, and, you know, he can go and help others, and Mob is very much like that too, where it's like, you know, if somebody needs a friend, I will be their friend, you know? If that's what they need as a friend, then I will be there to be their friend, you know? He's a friend to all, you know? I like, even for a second, he does extend that to Suzuki, too, you know? He's like, hey, you know, you are clearly in the same boat. Like, you don't understand people. You don't have friends, you know? I mean, one thing I thought during the reaction is this definitely feels like... even though, like, this doesn't fully work, but honestly, you could almost classify this fight as a god versus a god complex, you know? Like, in a way of, like, maybe not like a sort of ancient, you know, mythological, like a Greek or a Roman god or something like that, but a very gentle god, you know? The gentle god versus the god complex. The man who wants to be god, you know? And that's kind of the thing, where it's like, because Mob, you know, he has all this power and he's able to stand up to Suzuki, but at the same time, that's just his natural power, you know? He didn't really train to have that power. That's just his power. Suzuki has built himself up for years and years and years, and even this, you know, store of energy, he's been storing that for 20 years, you know? Like, all of this, and he still can only match Mob, who is natural, you know? Like, that's part of it, too. That is part of it, that it is sort of that, it's, you know, the gentle but just God versus the man who would dethrone God, you know? The man who would take over the world, you know? And I really enjoy that as a dynamic. And even just, you know, just Mob going in, being able to make friends with everybody, you know? Literally everybody. Which sometimes in a show, it's like, oh my god, how many friends can this, you know, this motherfucker make? It's almost the Goku effect, too, you know? Like, Goku is kind of like that for most. Like, not all. Like, obviously he's not going to make friends with Frieza, you know? But even down to, like, Vegeta, he can, you know, he can win him over to the good side eventually. It takes a long friggin' time. But Mob has that sort of same way, where it's like, you know, he can sort of redeem some of these people. He can help them, legitimately help them. And I like how he does that with Serizawa, where he looks at Serizawa and is like, oh wait, you're like me, you know? Except you were given a temporary fix by someone who just wanted to use you, you know? Like, he doesn't want to actually help you. He just wants to use you. And he manages to convince Serizawa, and I like that, you know? So, I mean, that's basically it, is, you know, there's not an actual trust, which is exactly what Mob says. There's no actual trust between Suzuki and his underlings. He just, you know, he uses them, and if they don't do what he needs, then, you know, it's a fine, I'll do it myself, you know? Because in all reality, he doesn't need them, but if he can use them, he will, you know? And I like the sort of mirroring too, which I said this earlier, where it's like there is a sort of mirroring between him and Reagan, but where Reagan is a good man who, Reagan is a good man who instilled these great values into Mob. And even, he's such a good person, he's got the cojones to go up there with a gun. A man with no power and a gun going against Suzuki, who has all the power in the world, but he'll still do it. He'll still try, And that's really great. And I like, that mirroring between Mob and Serizawa and how that leads to, we gotta beat the shit. Now, I mean, it's partly, we gotta beat the shit, but he is trying to convince Suzuki as well. And I like that, because, okay, and this is not going to be about My Hero Academia, so My Hero Academia fans, don't worry, I'm done bitching about your show. I'm going to bitch about someone else's show. Steven Universe fans, I'm coming for you next. Because one of the most frustrating things about late Steven Universe was like, we gotta redeem everyone, we gotta redeem these horrible intergalactic villains. And I know it's kind of the Darth Vader thing of, oh, could you redeem Darth Vader, But at the same time, it's like, well, you can redeem Darth Vader. Can you redeem the Emperor? I don't think you can. And maybe that's, where we're going to be leading with Suzuki, is that he is, the Emperor. He's not the Darth Vader. You can't redeem him. You can't convince him. But at the same time, the problem with Steven Universe was it was just talk, Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this and do nothing else, Let's talk, but let's not talk as clever as Mob does. Because when Mob talks, it's smart. When Steven Universe talks, it's basically a, hey, stop being a space Nazi, Like Mob actually, and this is just long, deep-seated hate of late Steven Universe, and if it might not make any sense with what I'm saying, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's like that was a constant problem, and especially too because there is no fight, and you gotta have a fight. And if you're not gonna have a fight, you better have some damn good words, And here, I like that it's a mix of both. That he is trying to just convince him verbally, but he's saying very good things, and also let's have a fight, because sometimes, you can't just say it, actions speak louder than words, and if you can convince him in a fight, then that's how you do it. I'm not just sitting here being like, I want to fight, I just want him to, I'm not just taking a couple action figures and just hitting them against each other. I'm like, no, because a fight in fiction should have a meaning behind it, Like, I don't want a fight just to have a fight, just so I can have some, great animation, Like that's the thing. It's like, if you want just a fight with nothing else, no story, no emotion, no impact behind it, sure, you can go find stuff like that. You can just go onto YouTube, just find some street brawl. It's like, that doesn't matter. But you need that. It's like, it's not just a fight, it's the impact of it. It's the escalation of this sort of verbal conflict going into an action conflict, But still retaining the same themes and the same tone of the verbal conflict, And it's the same thing of like, it is similar to Darth Vader, where it's like, we didn't need a fight with the Emperor, but something still happened, Eventually the Emperor gets up and he starts zapping Luke, Things need to happen. So that's my next thing about Steven Universe. And then My Hero. Again, though, My Hero, for its first 4 seasons, I think it was still good. The 5th season just didn't really do anything. Like, there just was nothing going on in that 5th season. Like, we're training with Class B. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. Like, the second half of that was okay. And then season 6, that just sucked. That just majorly sucked. So, But yeah, so I don't know. What was I saying? So yeah, we're getting a big shonen fight, but it's not just it's not just a big shonen fight. It's a fight with purpose. It's kind of the difference of like if you look at superhero movies and it's like, well, we got to have a fight in the third act. It's like, well, you don't always have to do that. Like look at stuff like the end of The Dark Knight. Batman, who is a fighter, does he fight the Joker? Not really, but it's still a very good climax. But then it's like, well, now he's gonna is he just gonna like talk to Bane or do something like? It's like, well, no, you fight Bane, and so it's like, I don't know, words. I'm trying to say words. I don't know. Does this make any sense? I don't know. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is this was a really great episode. I really enjoyed it. I freaking love this show, man. Like, this is honestly such a great show. Like, I don't know. This is just one of those, like, I kind of knew that this would kind of get, like, heavy or something like that, but man, just the level of quality of these stories and this dialogue and these characters are just so good, And I like a lot of other anime. I like Demon Slayer, I like Chainsaw Man and stuff, but the complexity, especially within these characters, for also being a kind of goofy story of like, here's this little snot bubble named Dimple. Here's this, con artist, and then they go run a marathon to help Mob, win over the girl of his dreams. And also a gentle god versus a god complex in this episode, It's really, really great stuff, and I really enjoy it. And it's like the perfect mixture of it to where it's not too heavy-handed, like, oh, we're trying to, we're really important and we're really trying to. It's not like fucking Attack on Titan. I'm coming for you fuckers next. It's just gonna piss off everyone else while I say Mob Psycho is great. But it's like, it's not something like that where it's like it's trying too hard. Even, again, season 6 of My Hero Academia fucking reeks. Where it's like it's trying too much and, like, oh, here's Deku. Well, we're just going to get rid of everything that Deku was. Like, everything of his character, yeah, all of that's gone so that he can be dark and edgy in this season. And all for one, we're just going to get rid of everything that made him a very interesting, unique villain because we can't get enough out of Shigaraki, who is also a really good and interesting villain, So, yeah, I'm just going to stop. I'm going to stop this discussion before I piss off someone else. Yeah, bottom line, Mob Psycho is good. I enjoy it, and I'm excited to see where we're going in the season finale. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my Mob Psycho 100 reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.